به گفته ایتی انترتینمنت تونایت، در حالی که جانی دپ داره برای خودش کلی خوش میگذرونه، نمیدونم کنسرت میره، گیتار میزنه، هیز این اسپاتلایت، در مرکز توجه، هی توک هیز لایف بک، زندگیشو برگردون و خیلی حالش خوبه، امبر در چه حاله؟ سلام، خوش اومدید به یه ویدیوی دیگه از کانال انگلیش ویداست. من زهرا هستم و اگه شما اولین باره که از کانال من داری ویدیو تماشا میکنی و یه کوچولو زبان دوست داری، احتمالاً از کانال من خوشت بیاد، چون من سعی میکنم با داستان و اتفاقات روز و مسائل ترند زبان رو آموزش بدم که خستتون نکنه. پس خوشحال میشم که سابسکرایب کنی، زنگوله کنارش هم بزنی، رو حالت اول قرار بدی و همچنین اگه ویدیومو دوست داشتی در انتها لایکش کنی. تو این ویدیو میخوام راجع به امبر صحبت بکنم که الان در چه حال و روزیه. البته این چیزیه که خودتون خواستید. توی کامنت ها خیلی کامنت توی این چند روز زیاد داشتم که از امبر چرا هیچی نمیگی، امبر داره چی کار میکنه، این اینترویو که امروز وکیل جانی انجام داده چیه جریانش، که من راجع به این دوتا میخوام توی این ویدیو صحبت کنم، هم مصاحبه کمیل و هم حال روز امبر. قبلش یکم راجع به جانی اول صحبت بکنیم. احتمالاً میدونید که دیروز برای اولین بار جانی به تیک تاک پیوست، اکانت برای خودش ساخته و اولین کلیپی هم که گذاشته مربوط به خودش رو توی بک استیج کنسرتش رو از در واقع فیلمی که از مردم و طرفداراش گرفته توی راه دادگاه که الان براتون میذارم. البته اینو باید بچه‌ها میوتش کنم چون که موزیک داره توی بک‌گراندش و باعث میشه که کپی رایت بگیرم. برای همین خب دیگه با سکوت باید ببینید. این ویدیو رو گذاشته و زیرش کپشنی که نوشته برای طرفداراش اینه: این پیام برای با ارزش‌ترین، وفادارترین و خستگی ناپذیرترین حامیان من است. همه جا با هم بودیم، همه چیز رو با هم دیدیم و یک مسیر را با هم پیمودیم و کار درست را در کنار هم انجام دادیم و همه این اتفاقات برای این افتاد که شما اهمیت دادید و الان همه با هم به سمت جلو می رویم. شما مثل همیشه کارفرمای من هستید و یک بار دیگه واژه کم آوردم برای تشکر از شما و هیچ جور دیگری نمیتوانم از شما تشکر کنم مگر با گفتن thank you، سپاسگزارم. پس سپاسگزارم. با عشق و احترام، جانی دپ. این پستیه که خطاب به طرفداراش نوشته و به سرعت بعد از اینکه این پست رو منتشر کرد، امبر هرد واکنش نشون داد، عکس‌العمل نشون داد و از طریق سخنگوش گفتش که این حکم یک پیام خیلی بد برای قربانیان خشونت خانگی داره و در حالی که جانی is moving forward, women's rights are moving backward. در حالی که جانی داره به سمت جلو میره و حرکت داره و پیشرفت داره میکنه، حق و حقوق زنها داره به سمت عقب میره. و واقعا من از طرف خودم فکر میکنم که امبر you should move on. واقعا یه باید بیخیال بشی، برو بشین زندگی تو بکن. و جانی بعد از اعلام حکم انقدر خوشحال بوده که توی یک رستوران هندی $62,000 پول خرج کرده و جشن گرفته. و این وسط هم کمیل got a big promotion، یک ترفیع خیلی خوبی کمیل گرفته و توی اون فرمشون، توی اون شرکتی که داره، تبدیل شده به یک پارتنر، شریک شده با بقیه وکلایی که اونجا هستن. حالا من نمیدونم دقیقاً سیستم حالا تیم حقوقی اونا چجوری کار میکنه، ولی یک ترفیع خیلی خوب گرفته و خیلی خوشحال از این بابت. اما حالا بریم سراغ امبر و ببینیم اون در چه حاله. یه منبع خبری به ایتی انترتینمنت تونایت گفته که امبر is not in a good place right now.
She's really sad. She feels alone. She's lost a lot of friends.
و امیدوار بوده که یه سری افراد ازش دفاع بکنن که این کار رو نکردن و به خاطر همین بسیار ناراحته و گفته که فعلا her focus is her baby. فعلا توجهش رو گذاشته روی دخترش و she wants to spend some quality time with her daughter و میخواد یه ذره وقت با دخترش بگذرونه. و همین منبع به ایتی گفته که Amber is going through a rough financial time right now. خیلی از نظر مالی اوضاع اوکی نداره فعلا. اما خب جالب این حرف به خاطر اینکه توی طول این مدت دادگاه توی یک عمارتی زندگی میکرده که ماهیانه $22,000 رنتی بوده، اجاره‌ای بوده که برای این عمارت میداده، این محل زندگیش میداده. و همچنین گفته شده که گویا امبر با اینکه میگه من پول ندارم، یه خونه خریده جدیدن که اینم خب جای سوال گذاشته برای همه که پس چجوری اگه پول نداره چجوری این خونه رو خریده. حالا بریم سراغ مصاحبه های کمیل و بن با خبرگزاری های مختلف. براتون این مصاحبه ها رو ترجمه کردم، با زیرنویس فارسی میذارم. Enjoy.
Didn't believe her because when you look at the verdict, it really comes down to that. The issue was, is what she's saying true or false? And by their verdict, they said it's false.
Well, my sense is that it had a lot to do with accountability, that Johnny owned his issues. He was very candid about his alcohol and drug issues. He was candid about some unfortunate texts that he wrote. And I think it was a sharp contrast to Ms. Heard, who didn't seem, or at least the jury may have perceived, that she didn't take accountability for anything.
As you know, this has been closely watched, and in the Me Too context, some people have wondered whether there is a larger resonance to this trial, whether it sends a message. Do you see any larger message beyond the case you tried?
No. I mean, frankly, we don't. We're here to talk about the case that we tried, right? We encourage all victims to come forward, have their day in court, which is exactly what happened in this case.
Amber Heard's attorney was right here the day after the verdict, and she said the jury had not been permitted to see certain evidence that would have bolstered and verified Amber Heard's claims of abuse, in particular therapist notes. What is your response to that? And was there evidence that was suppressed for a valid legal reason that might have made a difference?
I think that was very disappointing to hear that, and to hear her impugn the character of the jury, and the evidence came in that should come in, and the judge was very fair to both sides.
I should mention the jury did find Mr. Depp responsible for defamation for one of the statements made by his lawyer. It accused her essentially of staging a scene in furtherance of an abuse hoax. How do you square that finding with the rest of the verdict, Camille?
I think it's just the verdict is overwhelmingly positive for Johnny, and it was unanimous. There were 7 people that decided he was defamed.
As you well know, the law does not favor a plaintiff like Johnny Depp in a defamation case like this. The burden is very high, the threshold is high, and he crossed it. Frankly speaking, were you stunned at this victory? Ben?
Well, we had ultimate confidence in Johnny and the jury and the facts of this case, and you can only hope that the jury will see it. And in this case, they did, and the verdict was overwhelmingly in his favor.
Let me ask you, did you speak to your client right after the verdict? What was his reaction in the moment?
I think just an overwhelming sense of relief. I was speaking with another friend of ours, a mutual friend of Johnny's and ours, and he said, I haven't seen Johnny smile like that in 6 years.
The weight of the world is off of his shoulders. He's got his life back.
You know, this trial was very closely watched. Social media certainly took off in a way that we've seen high-profile trials before, but this is the social media age. Do you believe the jurors saw any of that, were swayed by any of that?
No, I don't think there's any reason to believe that the jurors violated their oath. And again, that suggestion was disappointing to hear.
Yeah, I mean, Amber Heard's lawyer said so. She said it would have been unavoidable because it's on TikTok, it's on social media. I mean, in the old days, you'd tell the jury before they went out, don't read newspapers, don't watch the evening news. Now it's everywhere.
It is everywhere, but at the same time, they were admonished every single night. And they had a tremendous amount of respect, I think, for the court and the process, and they were doing the best that they could.
In particular, she cites the UK judgment. As we all know, Johnny Depp sued The Sun, a newspaper in the United Kingdom. He lost that case, the judge finding that claims by the newspaper that he was a wife-beater were substantially true. Now, Amber Heard's lawyers say that judgment should have come into this court case. What say you?
It was a different process, right? And also, Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard in this case were the parties. They had different disclosure obligations. So we disagree. The overwhelming evidence that was presented in this case in Virginia far exceeded what was presented in the UK, and we believe the jury got it right.
Yeah, let me begin with you. I think the verdict surprised a lot of legal experts. They thought it was a very uphill fight from the beginning for you all. What was the key to victory?
I think the key to victory was focusing on the facts and the evidence, and Johnny's opportunity to speak the truth for the first time. It was 6 years in the making, and I think he was able to connect with the jury and the general public and tell what really happened in this relationship.
He wasn't in the courtroom for the verdict. What was his reaction when you told him?
He was over the moon. It was like the weight of the world had been taken off his shoulders, and I feel that finally, after 6 years, he's gotten his life back.
He also went on TikTok yesterday thanking his supporters on social media. What role did social media play in this verdict?
My view is that social media played no role whatsoever. This was a decision made by the jury on the evidence presented by both sides. And as Kamiel said, it was overwhelmingly in Mr. Depp's favor.
Ms. Heard's lawyers put out a statement yesterday saying the verdict was a setback for women's rights. And they went on to say that it's unseemly and unprofessional for you all to be, quote, taking a victory lap for setting back decades of how women can be treated in the courtroom. How do you respond to that?
I think it's disappointing. We're only speaking about what happened in this case, right? And the facts in this case were overwhelmingly positive for Johnny, and the verdict speaks for itself.
How about the broader criticism, though? It's not just from Heard's teams. Victims advocates have argued that the verdict is going to have a chilling effect on domestic violence victims, and it's a blow to the Me Too movement.
I think our response to that is we encourage any victim to come forward. Domestic violence doesn't have a gender.
So you don't see this as a setback to the movement in any way, shape, or form?
We do not. We believe that the verdict speaks for itself. The facts are what they were. The jury made a unanimous decision based on those facts.
During your cross-examination, what was your impression of Ms. Heard's impression on the jury?
I think that her impression on the jury was what it was. I think something that I focused on and we focused on in that cross-examination was using her words against her. And it was very important for us to, every question that was asked was tied to something she had said previously. And I think the jury got to see and the world got to see and hear from Ms. Heard in that relationship on every single topic.
And George, I think there was a real contrast. Johnny took ownership of a lot of things, and it seemed at times, and perhaps it came through to the jury, that she had an answer for everything, and she wasn't taking accountability for anything. And I think that made a difference.
Heard's lawyers say she plans to appeal the verdict. She doesn't have the money to pay for the judgment, and you all have said that the goal is not to impoverish Ms. Heard.
As Mr. Depp testified, and as we both made clear in our respective closings, this was never about money for Mr. Depp. So this was about restoring his reputation, and he's done that.
It's changed a lot in the last several weeks. He got made partner this week. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Both
much.
of you have also become something of social media stars. How has it changed? What does it feel like?
It's been surreal and if I'm being honest, a bit overwhelming.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much, George.
اینم از ویدیوی امروز. امیدوارم که دوستش داشته باشید. بچه‌ها اگه نظری، حرفی، سخنی، پیشنهادی، انتقادی دارید میتونید توی قسمت کامنت برام بنویسید و یادتون نره که English with us is there for you.